if you've ever felt like a side character in your own life, then this video is for you because just like you, I felt this way. And when I did feel this way, this literally kind of broke me. It kind of made my confidence super low and it crushed my spirits, right? So I don't remember the all of the details of the very first instance of this kind of happening, but I remember how I felt, and I vaguely remember, like, I guess the before details, but like not the whole situation. But anyways, I think the very first time that this came up in my life was I was a kid, and I was trying to like I was trying to like I guess like sweep a floor or something like that, or like whatever, right? And I remember somebody taking the actual broom from me and was like, "Nah, bro, I like yeah, uh, I got it, whatever," right? And that made me feel like it's like, okay, you don't trust me enough to really do a small task like this. You don't trust me, right? And that feeling persisted over like over the years, and that particular situation happened to me time and time and time and time again, right? I think one of the one of the times where it really stood out to me was I was at I was at this one job that I worked at when I was about 18 years old, right? And this is crazy. I was trying to like mop the floor, right? But the way that we had to mop the floor was kind of like it wasn't how people would like mop their floors normally. It was like it was like a very special way to like mop the floor, right? And I was doing it, and I guess I must have been like doing it weird or something. And the dude was like, "Yo, give me this broom, or give me this actual mop, this like mop, bro. Um, you haven't mopped the floor before, what's wrong with you, right?" Now, mind you, when I worked this job, I was a little nervous because this was like my first real job, right? Like ever, like my first real job. So when he berated me, I was like, okay, like, all right, bro, I guess, right? And that feeling of you don't trust me to do a small task really set in, and it did crush my spirits. It actually made me feel really bad. Like it made me feel really bad. And it made me feel like nothing I did was ever right, right? Which goes on to like my next point, which is, people have like I don't know like what it is, but people have this thing where it's either their way or the highway. And what I mean by that is like, okay, let's say like, if me and you are, you know, skyscraper builders, and you build your skyscraper one way, and then I do mine like another way, but I do mine in a way where it's tailored to my preferences, no matter if I go faster or short or longer than you, whatever, it's tailored to me, right? And oftentimes I would get in trouble from teachers and even like my parents for doing things in a different manner from how they did it, right? Which is like, well, there's more than one way to do certain things, so why am I being punished for, or being hollered at, or being questioned, right? And it goes back to, okay, you don't trust me to like really do this type of thing, right? And I'm trying to remember like an actual example, but there's like nothing is like really coming to mind. But this has happened to me before, and it's just kind of like that. Is like, and it makes me feel like I wasn't really in control of my life, if that makes sense. It just made me feel like I was just a side character, right? Another thing is the disrespect that I would often kind of encounter, right? So basically, at the same job that happened like with the actual broom incident, right? I was in a whole different department um at at this point. And you know, there um I was a young kid, right? And I remember saying like, okay, I'm gonna be respectful. If anybody tries to say anything mean to me, because at this point I was used to people like judging me over small things like right that I mentioned beforehand and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool, all right, I'm gonna right, okay. And then what happened was I would encounter like disrespect. There was this lady who used to always act like very hot and cold towards me. She would always like berate me, but then try to like befriend me. It was really weird. Like this one time I was working, and I guess I didn't do something that she wanted me to do, or I didn't do it the right way, or something like that. And she literally like rushed over to me, flew off the handle, and then asked me what I was going to do for like the weekend. And I just looked at her like she was insane. Like I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you for real right now? Because see, in my mind, right? And in my mind, I used to ask myself, if I was a main character, what would I do? Right? If I was like how would Naruto react to this? Right? How would Goku react to this? Right? Main characters, right? How would they react to this? And I said, I think that they would kind of stand up and be like, yo, I don't talk to me like that. Right? And when you feel like a side character, you kind of throw away all of your self-respect in like the process. And that's what I did, because I didn't have any self-respect, because people really didn't respect me enough to trust me to do small things. Everything starts with it being small, and then it gradually increases. But you know that's kind of how I felt. And there was often other forms of disrespect there, like people would say like slick comments, and a third, and this persisted for a long time until I quit that actual job, right? And like, but the one thing that made me feel like a side character in my own life was the simple fact that, because of all these things happening around me and happening to me, it made me not trust myself, right? But not only that though, is when I used to tell myself like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that," and I'm gonna promise myself that I'm gonna do this, and I would never do it. It did something to me. It did something to me where it felt like I wasn't the main character of my life. It just felt like somebody else was living in my body, but I was like, but they're just an NPC. They're just like there, right? Like, you ever played like The Sims, and you like have it to where if you like kind of go like AFK, the Sims will kind of like do their own thing, and they'll like, right? That's kind of how it was, but in real life for me, where I just, for whatever reason, I just didn't. That's kind of like how it was, bro. That's kind of just how it was. Honestly, like, I don't know like where I was going with that, but that's kind of like how it was though. Like, I just felt like, since I didn't trust myself, I wasn't player one in my own life, right? And the one thing, and like a micro thing, was the fact that I mentioned this in my other videos, in a recent video too. But it felt like I was invisible at the same time. Like, how when people would like acknowledge me, because see, you know, I was always trained to acknowledge other people, right? But I felt like other people wasn't acknowledged, or wasn't trained to acknowledge me. So when I would go out of my way to speak to people, they would just be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, bro?" Right? It would be like real short, real dry, and I'd be like, "Oh, what's good, bro? Like how you doing?" and everything like that, right? and the energy wasn't matched. And then I would see them have energy for somebody else, and it's like, oh, okay, I just don't matter, right? And that's really what made me feel like a side character in my own life, right? Now, how did I deal with some of these issues? With the disrespect thing, I had to learn like that I needed to stand up for myself. Like I had to like that same question of, okay, well, what would a main character do? I did it one day because see, I was afraid to do that, right? I was afraid to speak out. I was afraid because I didn't know what type of pent up emotion would have came out. I didn't know what type of anger was gonna just like was gonna like was going to explode out. And side note, fear also traps you into that side character type of like mentality. But anyways, I didn't know. So like this same lady and I worked together on this other like in this one room, and there was a day where she was kind of like be like where she was kind of like berating me, and I just couldn't take it, and I tore into her, and they had to kind of like not pull me out of the room, but they kind of had to be like, yo, bro, like chill, like don't, right? But you can't stand for disrespect from anybody. You just can't do that, right? Um, and then how I felt about the whole like, people not trusting me to do small things is now if somebody tries to ever do, oh bro, I'll just do it. No, bro, I got it. Back up. I don't care. Back up. Then now that's how I deal with that because I have the self confidence, and that took a long time to build up. I have the self confidence to say, no, bro, I got it. Chill, right? And with the self trust thing, you know, I had to change my life to really trust myself again. Like I had to sit down and talk to myself and be like, yo, bro, like on some like, you know what I'm saying, real rap, bro. Like you giving me promises, this gotta stop. If you're gonna change, change. If not, if you're gonna write in them journals and read them books, do that. But don't sit up here and make it seem as though you're gonna do that and then you just don't do that, right? So after that, that kind of like went away. And to be honest, I feel like a main character in my life for the very first time, like this year. Like this year, like of May of this year, which is 2020, like which is 2026. This year was the year where I finally felt like a main character in my life, right? And that's kind of like the actual thing. Cause see, the lesson that I want you to always remember is when the world or when your life presents you with the same type of problems, right? It's your responsibility to be aware of them and to correct them. Because and not only that, you you know instantly how to do it, but you're just scared to do it. But in that fear is holding you back. It held me back. So don't be afraid and just do it. Be assertive, be dominant, right? And that's like another lesson is like a bonus lesson is like, yeah, be assertive, be dominant because if you are not that, people will assume that you're a pushover and they will just do whatever and you have no control. If you give them control, you have no control. So give yourself that control and you will have control, right? So hopefully you got value out of this video. If anybody has ever felt like this before, please leave a like, comment down below. Tell me what your what your situation was and how it transpired and what you did to to fix it, or what did you learn or why did you not fix it. What Tell me what did you do in that moment? How did you feel in that moment, right? And don't forget to subscribe because I post daily videos, and I would love it if you came back and watched another video. Also, I just did, I think I just did two videos on my 30-day no music challenge. I did the initial first video, and then I did two more videos. So if you're interested in those videos, go click on those videos. They will be in my actual playlist, but they will also be in the description. So please go check those out. Those are videos that you are not going to want to miss. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.